Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at the new Netflix show Arcane, which is based on League of Legends, and I want to just start by saying it slaps. But on paper, it sounds like an absolute diarrhea disaster of an idea. Taking a video game and adapting it to any other medium almost never works. So taking League of Legends and turning it into an animation probably didn't have that many people ripping their shirt off and twirling it over their heads in excitement, unless of course you were already a League of Legends fan, then I imagine you were pretty hyped for it. The crazy thing about League of Legends is everyone's at least heard of the game and they're familiar with it to some degree, and a lot of people, like myself, have probably even struggled with a League of Legends problem. I'm actually 3 years sober. I played from seasons 3 to 6 daily, but then I kicked the habit realizing it was bad for my mental health. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't occasionally get that itch to hop back in the Crucible, take the Summoner's Rift by the tits and go wild. I still get that little devil on my shoulder telling me it's time to get back into League. And I even still sometimes watch the League tier list and I keep up with the meta, even watch the Worlds, of course. The thing about a League of Legends addiction is it's a lot like being addicted to heroin, except League of Legends is more embarrassing and more addictive. All of this is more like a cry for help. This has nothing to do with Arcane. The point I'm trying to make is everyone's at least heard of the show, and a lot of people maybe had a negative experience with League, so maybe wrote off Arcane right away because they just don't want anything to do with League lore or anything. And I think that's a real fucking shame because Arcane is an incredible show. Regardless of your feelings on the game, this show stands on its own 2 feet. There is really nothing in common with Arcane with League lore. All Arcane does is borrow some of the characters and settings from League, and it uses them in a totally original manner. There is no real crossover other than just having those familiar names and faces. Arcane is such a beautiful show. The animation in Arcane is top-notch. Riot did not spare any expense here. It is fucking gorgeous. And a lot of times it felt like I was watching a goddamn AMV. Like, it felt like an old-school anime music video sometimes because they have, like, these original tracks that'll play throughout the show, and it'll be complemented by either action or just like a full-blown montage, emotional montage of something happening with a character or multiple characters, and it's so beautiful. Like, it's done so well. Like, there's one scene in particular that really stands out to me. And I'm trying not to give any spoilers here, and I won't, actually. I won't even mention the scene, fuck it. Just trust me when I say when the music kicks on, expect something cool to happen, like, at every moment, because the music will often be accompanied by really great action or just some really well-done scene that's just elevated by a great background track. The thing about the show that caught me off guard the most is that it's not as family friendly as I expected. I went into it thinking it'd be like a squeaky clean, pretty generic, pretty cookie cutter experience. Like, hey, kids will like this and League fans will appreciate seeing the characters come to life, but it won't have any depth to it. That is dreadfully wrong. That's a lot of diarrhea dog shit. I was very wrong about that. That's not I'm not saying it's like the most mature show ever made. You're not going to come in here and see like fucking war crimes being presented and exploring a character's experience with a like abusive alcoholic father and seeing everything that comes along with that baggage. But it's a show that isn't just for a younger audience or for a family. They also do use explicit language. There's fuck tossed around. There's shit. There's blood. There's no cum yet. But they do tackle more heavy themes as well as explore darker moments in the series, which was surprising to me and I appreciated it. They gave a lot of depth to these characters. It was a lot more than I expected, a lot deeper and a lot better written than I expected going into it. The writing really did impress me. They're not afraid to kill off characters, though there is a pattern that I'm noticing that I won't mention here due to spoilers that is a bit disappointing with how they handle some deaths and some other characters that don't die. I'm trying not to give away anything here, but maybe I'll do spoilers at the end and get more into it. But overall, I was impressed that they're not afraid to kill off characters that they spend a lot of time building up. And I appreciate that. They're definitely going the extra mile to make this a show worth getting invested in with the narrative. It's not some like lazily written garbage. The characters feel alive. The world feels alive. They did a great job of building this world. You're introduced to a lot of different areas and a lot of different people and places and different positions of power and how all of that is structured. It just works super well. I think the show really does a great job of bringing anyone into the narrative and getting them interested in the show. The action is also really good. It's so fluid. Like, they didn't cut corners here. It's not janky, and it feels pretty meaty, especially when Vi's delivering a fucking biblical beatdown on some bad people. They just truly didn't cut any corners anywhere. Even if you absolutely fucking hate League of Legends, you will still probably like this show. My girlfriend hates League, hates the entire idea of League, and really liked this show because the characters are well written, the narrative is good, and it is a beautiful show. The animation, I can't stress enough, is just visually gorgeous. And it's a very unique style that I haven't seen explored before, at least not thoroughly. I've seen a couple animated shorts in a similar style, but never a full show in the same style to this level, where everything is super fluid. Like, there's never any moments where characters are just standing still doing nothing. They're always moving. Everything is constantly in motion, and I can just really appreciate how much life that brings to the universe. I just don't have very many negative things to say about this. I do have a couple things that I'd like to bring up, though, and this is going to be spoiler, so a bit of a spoiler warning. It's going to be quick, but here come a little spoilers. The thing that I mentioned a bit earlier with death, the thing that they're making very clear is that League of Legends characters are the only ones that are unkillable in the show. Every character that has died so far is a character that has not existed in the game. But the game characters are still totally fine, still building, and I feel like that's a pattern that will probably continue for a while. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they come out of the gate swinging in Season 2 and all League of Legends characters just fucking blow up. They just get blasted by a plague or something. I don't know. But right now it just seems like they do not want to kill those League characters, which I obviously understand, but I worry that it might cheapen the narrative a bit if you just know these League characters are going to be fine for the entire show. Another thing that I'd like to critique a bit is I think they're trying to cram too much into too short a time period. Like, they're doing too much all at once. So some of the relationships just really get wild quickly. Like Vi and Caitlyn, they go from hating each other in one episode to being inseparable in the next. And I just feel like the show's missing that crucial building to that point because it looks like they just flipped the switch and they went from enemies and really, suspicious of each other to being fully trusting and fully open to each other. Like they don't want to ever be apart. It feels like they did so much all at once that this relationship didn't get a chance to get there naturally, and it just happened in one episode. Which isn't the worst thing in the world because it keeps the pacing fast, and this is a very fast-paced show, but I still just thought that was something worth at least mentioning. Spoilers over. Alright, and now there's still a little bit more I want to talk about before plugging this into the Moist Meter formula. I would like to mention how great a job they did with the main villain here. I think the villain of Season 1 was so well done. They weren't just cartoonishly evil, they had some very evil moments, but overall it was a character that you could almost sympathize with, you could understand where they're coming from, and you'd be upset with the way they'd be getting there, but you could still at least see that the overall goal wasn't just some burn the world down, fuck everything. It was a character that had real depth, and by the end of the season, there was just a lot to appreciate with what they did with the villain. And I always like when a show is able to make a villain that you don't just absolutely root against at every moment, and that it's not a deep villain, just there to be a punching bag for the good guys to look great against. I like that they made a very good effort to bring that villain to life, and I think they did a great job. Alright, now let's plug this into the Moist Meter. I'm giving Arcane a 95%. This is another rare 95, but I do definitely believe this is a must-watch show, even for people that don't like League of Legends or have no interest in it. This is a beautiful show, and that's a word I've used like 20 times already, but it's the best way to describe it. The visuals here, the animation is so good. It is a unique looking show that delivers a great narrative to go along with it, and the action, there's always action. So if you're here just for like some good fights, you're definitely going to get that here too. It just has something to offer to everyone. It's a show that I feel the same way I did about Invincible, where I walked away from it being like, yep, that's a show I can see a lot and most people really appreciating. Arcane is just a standout show, and I think they absolutely fucking crushed it. I haven't had any interest in League lore in years, and I fucking loved it. I was also getting a little giddy seeing some characters I recognized come into the show, but that didn't like matter that much. If you don't have that connection to characters, it's not gonna matter because they'll make you care about them through good writing. I just really liked pretty much everything about the show, and I'm super excited for season 2 whenever that'll come out. So that's about it. So yeah.